I am appalled at what I've been seeing. The amount of outrage being thrown at these football players simply for standing up against racial injustice is baffling. For a while, people were able to pretend that it was because of how people were protesting. They didn't like the rhetoric, they didn't like the violence, but now here we are. They're exercising their First Amendment rights in the way that it was intended and in the most tame manner they could think of, and never has the backlash been so severe. Now people are saying, oh, well, they shouldn't do it at work. They have a job to do. Yeah, you mean play football, right? Because they're still doing that. The game doesn't even start until after the anthem is played. Some people think, oh, well, you must hate America if you kneel during the national anthem. But did you know that until 2009 it was unusual for players to already be on the field? They were still sitting in the locker rooms until after the anthem was already over. People seem to think that by kneeling they mean to disrespect our troops. But did you know that it was actually a United States veteran that got Kaepernick to kneel in the first place? Prior to that, Kaepernick had sat on the bench during the anthem and was met with heavy opposition. But this veteran, Nate Boyer, reached out to him. He said, like many others, his knee-jerk reaction was not positive. Yet regardless, he respected his right as an American to do so, and wanted to hear him out. They had a real conversation and they both saw where each other was coming from. It was then Boyer's suggestion to kneel rather than sit for the anthem, because when a soldier has fallen, they fold up the American flag, kneel, and present it to their family. Boyer felt this gesture would symbolize Kaepernick's reverence for those who paid the ultimate sacrifice while still bringing light to the injustices he's fighting against. I heard someone say that painting this protest as being about the flag or anthem is like saying that when Rosa Parks stayed on the bus, she was protesting public transportation. The truth is these naysayers were never concerned about patriotism or the manner in which these protests were carried out, simply that it was happening somewhere that they couldn't ignore it. But that kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? Caring more about the flag and anthem than the well-being of your fellow Americans doesn't make you any more of a patriot than sticking feathers up your butt makes you a chicken. Just means you've got some weird fetishes. And how ironic is it that our same president who dodged the draft and called an American prisoner of war who was tortured and held captive for 5 years a loser can think he's in a position to lecture anyone about patriotism? What was his big slogan? Make America great again? So that implies that America does have some problems. Or how about drain the swamp? Doesn't that imply that we have corrupt people in positions of power? So why is it that Trump says these things and is met with applause, but when an African American does the same, he's met with vitriol? It's a shame that people who find this kneeling to be offensive, who have lost loved ones in the military and the police force, lack the empathy to realize that the wrongful loss of people we care about is exactly why they're kneeling in the first place. Right now, we should be asking what we can all do for our country, as a collective people, especially those in power. We elect politicians to legislate justly and in a way that provides for the common welfare. We hire police officers who are meant to enforce that legislation ethically and justly, but it's apparent that that's not always the case. We as a people need to unite against those who would turn their back on their fellow man, to ask our leaders to do what they can to make right the wrongs they have done. That starts here, with the conversation, with the realization that something needs to be done. That's the kind of history that makes me proud to be an American. Not the flag, not the anthem, but our values and the progress we've made as a people and as a society. And that is exactly why I support Kaepernick.